Welcome to SunnySpeaks. Here again with another review for you, and you. And today, I'm here to talk about The Long Walk, directed by Francis Lawrence and starring Cooper Hoffman, David Jonsson, Mark Hamill, and many more. After a Great War leaves America in a state of economic decline, 50 teenage boys are selected by the government to take part in the Long Walk, a televised event where the boys continue to walk 3 miles per hour until only one is left standing. The last to survive wins wealth and whatever wish they want granted. Dread and despair build as the boys walk for their lives. Based on the Stephen King book by the same name, I believe it could be his first full-length novel, which he wrote and was inspired by the Vietnam War. It's amazing and tragic how relevant the themes of a book written in 1979 can still be applicable in 2025. How does this adaptation execute the story, and does it set itself apart from our current ocean of YA live-action adaptations? First, let's talk about Cooper Hoffman, who plays Ray Garraty, our main character we follow in this story. I knew he looked familiar. Not only is he Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, which first RIP to such an incredible actor, my favorite performance by him being The Master. I love that movie and I think it's super underrated. But also, Cooper Hoffman had a small role in last year's Saturday Night, which was a surprisingly fun and inspiring film for a creative like myself. In The Long Walk, one of the first things I noticed about his performance is how balanced he can play the dramatic angle and switch to feeling more natural and subtle, which I think his father was also great with. All the boys are picked from different states, but Ray is the only one who is picked from the same state where they are doing the long walk. Ray's perspective on the walk and the current structure of the country are revolutionary, and his wish, if he wins, is vengeance against the colonel played by Mark Hamill, for reasons I can't get into fully because of spoilers. The beginning of the movie starts with Ray and his mom driving to the starting point of the walk. The opening does a great job building the dread and fear without showing its hand too early, leaning on the acting performances by Cooper Hoffman and Judy Greer as Ray's mom, Jeannie. Though Ray is an interesting protagonist, the scene stealer in this film to most, including myself, is David Jonsson as Peter McVries, the first person Ray interacts with before the walk begins. The movie revolves around these two and the fast friendship turned brotherhood that is shown throughout the duration of their treacherous journey. Peter is a light in a dark scenario, seeing the beauty in even the harshest realities depicted, but never in an over-the-top way, at least for me. At moments, it feels like the philosophy he says can feel like forced messaging for the audience, but in the context of the film, this character has little chance to survive this ordeal. So in moments when Ray is vengeful and angry, Peter speaks from the heart because what else really matters in this moment? Not to spoil anything, but Peter says that in his life, he's always been walking, and his options have always felt like walk or die. So his perspective when being faced with death is more nuanced and heightened than the other kids, at least at first, because his reality has made him face darkness on his own before, but at least in this experience, he's able to make friends along the way. Though loving David Jonsson as an actor, he really can transform in a beautiful way. I do think his accent, whatever he was going for, not only did I hear the British spill out a little bit here and there, which is completely fine, but just an honest criticism, but I also didn't know what he was saying all the time, and I wish I did. So I bet this movie would hit harder with subtitles. But despite that, the emotions that were portrayed were always felt, even if I didn't have full context, and that's a testament to the overall story and the portrayal of these characters by great young actors. During The Long Walk, Ray and Peter make many connections, but two characters in particular are important to the story and the Musketeers coined by Peter. I'd like to speak on these two before getting to the visual aspects of the film. Ben Wang plays Hank Olsen, the comic relief of the film, but also a character trying to strategize his way through the long walk. walk, which leads to some very sad consequences. I thought Ben Wang did a great job playing Hank. I haven't seen him in anything else because I missed Karate Kid Legends, but he surprised me with his range in The Long Walk. I could laugh from his lines and also feel my heart twinge a little as the scenario gets more serious and Hank is holding on by a thread. Excited to see where Ben Wang goes from here. Like I said before, many people, including myself, will say that the scene stealer in this movie is David Jonsson, but Tut Nyuot, hope I'm saying that right, as Arthur Baker was a performance that not only surprised me, but tested my resolve low-key. I almost shed a tear because of his performance. Arthur, or Art as the Musketeers call him, is a religious Southern kid who got selected for the Long Walk, hoping that he can bring money back to his family, who are hinted at being very poor. I've never seen this kid act, but man, he is incredible. Art has so much care and love that he shares with the group in such a realistic way, and his struggles throughout the journey for me were the hardest to watch out of anybody. I loved his performance a lot. I can't stress that enough. And I think his performance will be forgotten, honestly, and I think that's too damn bad. While writing the script for this, when looking up the cast, he doesn't even show up, while actors with less important characters do. So that just goes to show the underrated nature of his performance. Shout out Tut Nyuot for the great accent work. I actually think his accent work was better than David Johnson's, and a beautifully believable performance. For me, out of the main four, it would go David Jonsson, Tut Nyuot, Cooper Hoffman, Ben Wang, as far as just who I connected to the most when they were performing on screen. I wish him the absolute best in his career, and Tut Nyuot is an actor that I genuinely feel like I would go see movies to see what else he's able to do. And I feel the same way about David Jonsson. And it's just cool to see young black actors, British or not, it's cool to see young black actors just completely killing it on screen. It's really beautiful. Joe Williams is the cinematographer of this film, and even while watching, I thought that this had to have been a tough task. A 1 hour 48-minute film where characters are mainly walking and talking can be really boring for an audience. And yes, people are being killed mercilessly, but to execute that effectively isn't the hard part. What's hard is making the slow moments just as impactful visually, and I think Joe Williams does just that. Some of my favorite moments in this film are how the flat landscape is shown while dialogue is being exchanged with characters, and the balance of beauty and horror is handled masterfully and is a great visual to connect to the messages Peter in particular is trying to tell Ray. Though this movie obviously needs dialogue, most films do, I do think you could understand a lot about this movie just seeing all the scenes in sequence, even without dialogue. And all the props go to Joe Williams and his crew who helped him navigate this story's visuals in an interesting and creative way that keeps your eyes glued to the screen. My negatives towards this film aren't that negative, honestly. The main thing that felt lacking for me are the villains / soldiers in this film. Though I appreciate Mark Hamill for so many things he's done in his career, mainly being connected to the iconic voice portrayal of the Joker in the Batman animated series, I found his character, the Colonel, to be okay. I wish I had more time with his character. Even just hearing his perspective through conversation with other soldiers during the walk would have been fascinating to me, but he's almost relegated to being a somewhat ambiguous force. They do one thing at the end to make him feel more human, but it still could have been more impactful if they tried a little harder in the script with his character. But maybe that's how he was in the book. I'm not sure. If any of you have read the book, please let me know in the comments down below. The violence in this film does not hold back, and I appreciate that. The film never lets you experience death in an easy way, and I think that's smart because it connects you closer to the characters you follow. One of the most profound exchanges shared about the violence in the film is when Peter says, "I still haven't gotten used to that," after another one of the 50 has been executed for not meeting the 3 mile per hour walking speed. Ray looks at him and says, that's what I'm scared of. I loved those two lines because they're a great example of telling and not showing, which is normally opposite of what film auteurs and fans and even teachers will tell you to do. But when done effectively, lines like this can make you wonder and speculate about a character's past just by how they are dealing with the current situation. The messages in this film are really what spoke to me the most. I didn't expect this film to be as emotional as it is, and I found myself wrapped within the questions of faith, purpose, gratitude, friendship, and forgiveness. The movie speaks on a lot, but in a way that doesn't feel heavy-handed, but earned every single time, in my opinion. And without the weighted emotions this movie carries from beginning to end, I probably wouldn't have liked this movie at all. An example of what I'm talking about is that this group I referred to earlier, the Four Musketeers, are all meeting and getting to know each other through this experience as they grow, especially Peter and Ray. We see them grow, we see their perspectives clash and how they build a new bridge to each other with the new information they have about each other. But the beautiful and brilliantly crafted part of that is that the other boys in the 50 are seeing this too, and we see the others go from anger and disrespect to disbelief to envy to being thankful that they got to see or be a part of something beautiful at the end of their life. It's a super tragic tale, but as time goes on, I think I love the film more and more. Overall, I would give The Long Walk a partly sunny rating, closer to sunny than partly sunny, which I am very surprised by. This movie shocked me in many ways. I expected the acting to be good, but honestly, I thought it would carry a subpar plot. However, I was wrong. I was extremely intrigued by the world. I invested in our four main characters, Peter, Ray, Hank, and Art. I found myself thankful for the experience, leaving the theater with something to think about. I appreciate when a film can give me that. This has been my review of The Long Walk. If you have seen The Long Walk, let me know what you think in the comments down below, because perspective is key. If you haven't seen The Long Walk, let me know if this review makes you want to go see the movie or not, and what is your favorite YA dystopian story like Hunger Games or The Maze Runner or Divergent, stuff like that. And it is cool that Francis Lawrence has directed a lot of the Hunger Games movies, and you can see a connection between those two films, but I still think that he deserves props for doing something different with this and allowing it to feel almost like a timeless tale because of how he traps it within what the original message was. And yeah, the more that I talk about it, the more that I review, the more that I'm recording, the movie is truly a great experience while being a very dark one as well. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I'll be back again. Peace.